weeks they've been waiting on a marshal in that dusty little town. An old saloon, a tired sheriff, and hope was wearing thin somehow. Then a stranger walked right through the swing doors, sat alone and made no sound. Nobody knew his name that evening, nobody knew what rode into town. Then came the boys from the next county, raising hell like every night. One of them grabbed the stranger's old hat, threw it down and laughed outright. The stranger picked it from the dirt road, brushed away the dust and sand. Then he pinned a silver star upon him, and silence swept across the land. 2 miles beyond town, where the mountains touch the sky, a man who'd spent his whole life riding found a reason not to ride. 2 miles beyond town, where the prairie met the wind, he learned that what he'd searched for all those years was waiting back for him. Under lamplight in the sheriff's office, old reports lay scattered wide. A stagecoach robbery, 1 dead driver, and too many questions left behind. That's where he first heard Heidi's story about her brother and his fate. No saint, no hero by most standards, but blood and loss still carry weight. At sunrise he rode into the Badlands, following tracks through rock and pine. Across cold rivers and dusty canyons he stayed upon the outlaw line. One bandit fell during the gunfire, one surrendered at the end. But a bullet found the marshal's shoulder before he could ride home again. 2 miles beyond town, where the mountains touch the sky, a man who'd spent his whole life riding found a reason not to ride. Long days the town heard nothing, not a word, not any sign. Then a rider came across the horizon, moving slow through evening light. A prisoner rode behind him, shackled, while blood stained through his coat. And every soul upon that main street knew the marshal kept his oath. The doctor dug the lead out slowly, and weeks went drifting by. Heidi changed the bandages often, rarely speaking, staying nearby. She never spoke about her feelings, she never asked him not to leave. But sometimes hearts say all that's needed without a single word being said. Spring arrived upon the valley, and the wound had finally healed. The trial ended, justice settled, and the town returned to peace. The marshal saddled up one morning, same as he had done before. Folk folks stood watching from their porches as he rode down Main Street once more. He rode out toward the distant mountains, toward the life he'd always known. The open range spread out before him, the same old road he called his home. But 2 miles beyond town he stopped there, pulled the reins and turned around. Everything he'd spent his life searching for was no longer farther down. 2 miles beyond town, where the mountains touch the sky, a man who'd spent his whole life riding found a reason not to ride. 2 miles beyond town, where the prairie met the wind, he learned that what he'd searched for all those years was waiting back for him. He rode back through the fading sunlight, left his badge upon the desk. The sheriff smiled and never questioned, he already knew the rest. Then he crossed the street to Heidi, standing on the porch alone. And that's the day the old Marshal finally found a place to call his home. Old timers still tell the story, when the western evening wind blows down, about the Marshal who rode away and found his future 2 miles beyond town.